So let's look at the contents in greater detail now that we've reviewed the structure. The story opens by introducing us to Job. He's said to be a blameless and upright man. He fears God and he shuns evil. That is chapter 1, verse 1. So the moral virtue and innocence of Job is established in the opening line as a narrative fact, a non-negotiable narrative fact. And yet this Job is to become the victim of a challenge issued by the Satan in the heavenly council. I say the Satan deliberately, the Satan. The Satan is certainly not the devil. There's no such notion in the Hebrew Bible. The phrase the Satan occurs 4 times in the Hebrew Bible. Here and in Numbers 22 and in Zechariah 3, the Satan is simply a member of the divine council, one of God's minions whose function it is to investigate affairs on earth and to act as a kind of prosecuting attorney. He has to bring evildoers to justice. And it's only in later Jewish and especially Christian thought that the term loses the definite article from the Satan, which means the prosecutor essentially, the prosecuting attorney, and becomes a proper name, capital S, Satan, for an enemy or opponent of God. This later concept of Satan develops as a means of explaining evil without attributing it to God. But that isn't the function of the Satan here. He works for God. And when Yahweh boasts of his pious servant Job, the prosecuting angel wonders, as his portfolio requires him to do, whether Job's piety is sincere. Perhaps he's motivated by self-interest. Since he's been blessed with such good fortune and prosperity, he's naturally enough pious and righteous. But would his piety survive affliction and suffering? Deprived of his wealth, wouldn't he curse God to his face? And you have to notice as you're reading that the euphemistic use of bless God instead of curse God. Ancient writers did not want to write down curse God, so they wrote bless God. But we need to understand that's a euphemistic way of avoiding writing curse God. So wouldn't he curse God to his face? And God is quite confident that Job's piety is not superficial, it's not driven by the desire for reward, and so he permits the Satan to put Job to the test. Job's children are killed. His cattle are destroyed, his property is destroyed. But Job's response in chapter 1, verse 21 is, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. God gives, and God takes away. May the name of the Lord be blessed. And the narrator then adds in verse 22, in all this Job did not sin or impute anything unsavory to God. And God again praises Job to the Satan, saying, and still he holds on to his integrity. So you incited me to destroy him for nothing. That's chapter 2, verse 3. So the Satan proposes increasing the suffering. And God agrees on the condition that Job's life be preserved. So the Satan strikes Job's body with these terrible, painful sores, trying to crush his spirit. And Job's wife rages, do you still hold on to your integrity? Bless God, curse God, and die. Chapter 2, verse 9. But still, Job will not sin. He will not curse God. He insists on remaining virtuous, and he responds, shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil?